one with the all of it all. All that is good, all that is beautiful, all that is pure, all that is bountiful, I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. All things, all people, all life, all love, I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. All that is good, all that is beautiful, all that is pure, all that is bountiful, I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. The all of it all is all that there is. The all of it all is all that there is. The all of it all is all that there is. The all of it all is all that there is. I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. I am one with it all. One with the all of it all. I am one with it all. One with the all of it all.
Belina. My name is Tina Stewart, and I am a member of the Board of Trustees here at the Center for Spiritual Living, West Hawaii, and my pronouns are loved and beloved. In the spirit of aloha, I welcome you to our Sunday celebration. As we open our service, we acknowledge that in West Hawaii, we honor the rich and ancient heritage of Kanaka Maoli, the native people of Hawaii. We honor all communities, their elders, both past and present, as well as future generations. At West Hawaii, we discover the truth of who we are through our center's vision of contributing to an emerging world by supporting humanity's awareness to its spiritual connection. We support this vision through our mission, which is to be a joyfully accepting, serving, and compassionate ohana, focused on holistic and mindful community growth through spiritual principles and practices. The spiritual truth is that we all belong to each other, and this calls for us to be inclusive, to celebrate and embrace our unique identities, ability status, age, ethnicity, gender identity, national origin, physical characteristics, race, religion, and sexual orientation. I invite you now to set an intention for this week. Take a deep breath and allow yourself to sink into the feeling of that intention. Right now, as you open to receive Spirit's guidance throughout our time together. As our founder, Dr. Ernest Holmes, taught, in principle, the great religions of the world do not differ as much as they appear to. That is why we take time each week to recognize and honor a variety of religions as sacred paths to God. I now invite Eddie to lead us through lighting the flames of faith.
Thank you, Tina. This is the second most favorite part of mine, of our Sunday service, lighting the flames of faith. We perform this ceremony each Sunday to promote the universal consciousness of life, which acknowledges that all peoples, all faith, all sentient beings come from the one great universal presence, which we all call Spirit. And fundamental to this truth is the unifying nature of all spiritual thought and experience, which we honor here today. We light a candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light a candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We honor a candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light a candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light a candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light a candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, devotion, and action. We light a candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light a candle for the tradition, for the native traditions, including, of course, the Hawaiian culture, honoring the beliefs and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality and the spirit in all of creation. We light a candle for Confucianism, honoring the path of deliberate tradition. We light a candle for Shintoism, honoring the path of optimism and inherent goodness of humanity. We light a candle for Akan, honoring the path of the divine, ancestors, and nature. We light a candle for the science of mind, honoring the path of adherence to the universal spiritual law and transformation through the commitment to our spiritual practices. We light all these candles for all forms of new thought, honoring the metaphysical path of mental healing through the practice of universal spiritual principles. We also light these candles as healing candles, so you may, if you choose, put silently into the light the names of anyone you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love. We invite you to hold sacred any and all faiths in all their multiplicity by knowing love as the highest power that guides them all. Namaste and so it is.
Mahalo, Eddie, for leading us in the lighting the flames of faith. We realize that today's trends offer up so many options of spiritual soul food, and we are grateful that you drop in to visit us today. We welcome you, and if you are with us for the first time, please consider joining in at the end of the service for our after chat. A time to connect and explore today's message a little further. And we'd love it if you would put your email address in the chat so we may better welcome you, along with any other comments and insights that you would like to share as our service unfolds. So now let us consciously engage in spiritual practice together. We invite you to settle in, center yourself in this moment, and find that sacred place within where spirit is all there is. Our centering time today will be led by Eddie, but first, let's begin with an affirmative prayer. Please join with me in consciousness, knowing that there is only one life, one mind, one all-creative force, and infinite intelligence, known as God, Spirit, Love, Keakua, the Divine. This one mind is the originating cause of all life seen and unseen, known and unknown. It is a substance from which I am, the energy that moves me, sustains me, and nurtures me into greater expansion of expression, so that it may know through experience the fullness of itself. I speak my word for the part of me in the universe known as the multiple expressions within humanity. As I contemplate my place within this universe, I remember that God is ultimately energy in motion, infusing itself into its creation, making all sacred connection with its one nature. I fully embrace that the cosmic spiritual principles which govern the unseen infinite intelligence are operating in my life now, as they are through all circumstance, and therefore I confidently affirm that I am never alone, and I trust that I am always guided to perfect self-expression in connection with others based upon what I believe is true. I am imbued with strong faith in the portals to the attraction of life, as I believe me to be, in ways that I accept for my highest good. All in my life exists for the express purpose to support my conscious and unfoldment of the goodness, the truth, the love, the peace that I am. With deep appreciation for the allness of God as the one life, inspired by love and the law of its being that continues to reveal this truth, I release anything obstructing me from cultivating this loving acceptance and connection for the presence of Keakua as me and as all here and now. And so it is.
Let us join together in a meditation, one that I wrote this morning. I'd like you to close your eyes, unless you're driving or walking or threading a needle or something. I'd like you to take a deep breath. Let it out. Take another deep breath, breathing in peace and energy, and let it out. Let your mind wander back in time, back through your adult years and childhood, back before you were born, when you were one with it all. The energy of the creative intelligence, feeling love, bliss, knowing that all is well, knowing that all is safe, feeling the energetic frequency of love and happiness. Now it is your turn to have a physical existence. Choices are made. You came into this world with the flame of life. There was a knowing, a longing to be there again, knowing that it is within you. You started to see others who had the same light and felt at home. You now bring into the world the light you were born with, the light where you were. You are one with the creative intelligence, one with that spirit, one with your family of others who honor this light, like magnets drawn together as community. This light brings you into the presence of the creative intelligence we call God. You are full of bliss, full of love. Just feel the love around you. You are safe. You are whole. You are complete. You are one with all that is. You are at peace today. You are at peace this week. Breathe in again. As you open your eyes, colors are brighter. Your senses are sharper. You are in the presence and are the presence of this thing we call life. And so it is. Whoops. Nina.
Sorry. Thank you, Eddie, for that spiritual connection. If you would like to have more of that spiritual connection, our minister is here to support you in learning to live from that space. And now, with introducing our September theme of being the beloved community, I am delighted to introduce today's speaker, Reverend Nadene Rogers, with her talk entitled The Value of Spiritual Community. Please help me welcome Reverend Nadene.
Aloha, CSL West Hawaii, friends and guests. Oh my goodness, it's so wonderful to be with you this morning and have a voice after all the smoke that was happening here in British Columbia. So grateful, so grateful. And we begin today together our exploration, as Tina said, of being the beloved community. You know, here at CSL West Hawaii, we learn, as we do in all our New Thought centers, how to apply practical spirituality in our everyday lives, based on the teachings of Dr. Ernest Holmes. Now, those of you who are students will know this, those of you who aren't might not, so I always like to include it. Dr. Holmes summarizes his teaching, The Science of Mind and Spirit, as this. He says it's a correlation of laws of science, opinions of philosophy, and revelations of world religions applied to human needs and the aspirations of man. That means we play a part as co-creators of our own reality because we apply these principles. And as we study and practice this teaching, we learn to be a student of humility and awe in this vast power for good within us and within the world. And we come to understand as we walk each other home that we teach by how we live, and that how we live becomes our prayer. So today I will be taking the perspective of leaning into our oneness as we celebrate our diversity. The title of my message today is The Value of Spiritual Community. And we're going to look at removing our false sense of being spiritual or trying to be spiritual as an effort to cope and survive within, in order to find new ground in this new path, and instead create a community of like-heartedness. As we open to a deeper understanding and desire towards compassion and respect for the spiritual process of each of us as individuals. So I thought it might be prudent, or gee, that's a word I don't use very much, to discuss what is spirituality. Now, I found this document recently in my back files, and I thought I'm going to bring that out and share it. So what is spirituality? A lot of people, kind of try to find words to explain it. So in essence, spirituality is simply living with the intention to realize God or good or love or infinite potential in every circumstance of your being, your thoughts, your emotions, your words, your deeds, your relationships, your aspirations, in short, the totality of your life, right to its very end. Saints and sages do this by dying the good death. And that attitude, that stance in life is the only thing which can truly create a better world. And there will never be a better world until there are better people in it, right? So the way to build better people is to begin with ourselves by realizing that God and I are one. To realize God means to know God or infinite intelligence on every level of reality and in every mode or aspect of this God being. Thus, spirituality can be defined level by level of reality in this way. In physical terms, spirituality is recognizing the miraculous nature of matter and the creative source behind the mystery of matter. In biological terms, spirituality is realizing that a divine intelligence underlies all life change, and that such change is evolving all creation to ever greater degrees of wholeness and perfection in order to perfectly express itself. In psychological terms, spirituality is discovering within yourself the ultimate source of meaning and happiness, which, for most, is love, for some is peace. In sociological terms, spirituality is giving selfless service to others, regardless of race, creed, color, gender, caste, or nationality. In ecological terms, spirituality can be said as showing respect for all the kingdoms in all the community of life, mineral, vegetable, animal, human, spirit, and angelic. In cosmological terms, spirituality is being at one with the universe, in tune with the infinite, flowing with the Tao. And lastly, in theological terms, spirituality is seeing God in all things, all events, all circumstances, indwelling as infinite light and unconditional love, and seeing all things, events, and circumstances in God as the matrix or infinite ocean in which the universe occurs. Take a breath, that's a lot. And here we get a sense of what the value in being a part of an intentional spiritual community might be. So I'd like to start right off the top by suggesting that the purpose of any spiritual community is to hold a vision of everyone's innocence. Innocence. Innocence as in pure potentiality. Members of this kind of community love and accept each other here and now. Understanding that past mistakes or missing the mark, transgressions, misunderstandings, no matter how seemingly severe, are not held against anyone, but Rather, each person is seen as whole, innocent, and unstained. This means that a healthy spiritual community holds a space in which the judgments members make about the other people can be acknowledged and forgiven, rather than efforting to change, fix, or heal anyone else. For the healing is done by spirit. In the very instant that the individual stops playing the role of a victim and takes full responsibility for their life, all of it. Similarly, a healthy spiritual community holds the space for self-forgiveness. It does not pretend to have the answer for any of its members, meaning less unsolicited advice giving happens. And it simply extends to each individual again and again the recognition of their wholeness and innocence. Now, I would like to acknowledge the common growth of all within a spiritual community, where we are constantly proving that the principle of oneness and its outpicturing, as within, so without, is ever at work. And you know, there is time and space involved in this, as you all will attest, I'm sure. So yes, this principle of oneness for our ultimate highest good is always working through us and as us, even when we perceive our conditions as being opposed to that truth. You know, we often think from a dualistic perspective that our humanity is a lesser expression, which needs to be sometimes denied, hidden, gotten rid of, so that we can no longer have to justify or defend or apologize ourselves away. But it is precisely in this false belief that we embark on the spiritual journey, trying to be spiritual as what we believe to be a greater expression of the divine. We can be very amusing to ourselves and hopefully or to others rather, and hopefully one day to ourselves is what I wanted to say, as we demonstrate this belief of our humanity and our divinity being two separate things. You know, eventually we will begin to see that by being ourselves naturally and just embracing ourselves, we are seeing with God's eyes our wholeness and innocence and beauty and potential, just as we are. And through our awakening, we grasp a glimpse of the principle of oneness demonstrating within us and without. And in those instances, which to me feel like holy moments, we sense the presence of the ineffable as us, opening to the possibility that our humanity and our divinity are one thing, not two. Now, this understanding enables us to observe our thoughts and our actions and our words about ourselves or about others, and transform this dualistic judgment into the embrace of innocence and pure potential. Now, I often remind myself to take heed to notice when I am quick to either defend, justify, or blame, point or poke at another, or sound like I know it all, oi, and take it as a sign that some inner insight is calling me to reveal more of my own wholeness, my own divine humanity. I think all each one of us has, really, is to show by virtue of how we live our lives, what we believe in and what we stand for. And in our spiritual process of remembering that we are already aligned with God, are already a community of one, we do regress. We trip over old beliefs that haven't served us in a way that opens our hearts and minds. For years, they haven't done that. And you know, at these times, it's crucially incumbent upon us to admit, to speak of our missing the mark. And in this way, we will create a channel for self-compassion and the acceptance of others on their often rocky journey or slippery journey, right? Or I got the vision of that skidding into third, you know, used up, You know that saying? It's wonderful. So what does innocence mean in terms of understanding our longing for connection with God, with ourselves, and with each other? I think it means to see with accepting eyes in this moment now. To accept that each of us is a perfect expression of the living God. How are we perfect when aspects of our life are not working in comparison to the standard we hold for ourselves? You know, we think about that, I know. Plus, let us remember that as the law of mind and action works through the direction of our own mind, based upon what we believe is true and what we will accept as truth, then everything is a result of a perfect, affirming, impersonal law of mind, making something out of no thing, making something, an effect from the cause of our thought. And that's when we know that even if it doesn't seem like it's working out, all is appearing to us through divine right action. And when we hear everything is happening in divine right order, it means that the universe is reflecting back to us in our exterior world what we deeply believe in, what we expect to happen, albeit sometimes unconsciously. Many situations we are in, we do not consciously ask for, right? In fact, we ask for the opposite of what we sometimes get, which leaves us confused and without belief in a loving presence that constantly says yes to us. I understand. Our work really is to transform our own mind, right? Using the creative process of the governing laws of the universe, not man's laws, so that we can effortlessly and joyfully produce the world we say we want to live in by being the person we were born to be. We are innocent. In each moment, we have a fresh new opportunity to choose who we're going to be without bringing with us what's gone before. The facts of our lives will not change. In fact, they are gifts from which we have shaped what we believe up to this moment. But innocence is found only in this moment, not in our history or our projected and hoped for future. Innocence is the clear, conscious connection with the beloved that makes the way for the Holy Presence to live through us in its fullness of its glory in the creative ways that we imprint upon it. I want to share a story, a fun story with you. You know, one of those crazy stories that goes a rabbi, a priest, and a religious science minister, not in a bar, fishing on a lake, right? So here it goes. A rabbi, a priest, and a minister are out fishing in a boat on a big lake, when the priest realizes that he has to relieve himself. So not wanting to disturb the fishing of the others in the boat by having them take him to shore, he gets out of the boat, walks across the water, does his business, and returns to the boat. Now, a little while later, the religious science minister has to go also, and he does the same. He walks across the water, does his business, and returns to the boat. Finally, the rabbi feels the urge to go to the bathroom too, so he climbs out of the boat, but instead of walking across the water, he falls into the water and starts wildly splashing around. And the priest and the minister finally drag the rabbi back to the boat, and the priest turns to the minister and says, "Maybe we should have told them where the rocks were." Applause, applause. I love that story. So, because to me, this story represents that there are those among us in spiritual community that are needing to find the rocks, right? They're needing the support to find the foundational principles to use with which to feel more grounded in the edges of their personal, ever-changing spiritual and growth and maturity. And there are also those who have walked just a little bit further and have cultivated that sense of self-compassion that's needed on the journey. And they can be more supportive to others' innocence revealing itself as they find their way. Each of us can hold our innocence and each other's innocence with absolute conviction when we have faith in and understand the community of one, its reason, its purpose, its being. So what else can we notice as we cultivate the ever-present knowing that puts us feeling on the outside of this community of one? Well, there are probably countless in our experiences over time, but I'd like to point out just one. When we are not in our own authority, and therefore do not take responsibility and accountability for our own actions, so that we build confidence in listening to our still small voice, the voice of the sacred beloved within. So many times we opt to let professionals, teachers, healers, counselors, elders, ministers, parents, children, in other words, others, to make many of our decisions for us without checking in. Now, sometimes we give our power over in gratitude, sometimes in fear, and sometimes even in what feels like love. And we know we have closed the door leading to the liberation of our own soul. But we are all channels through which God's love can flow to others. There is no mystery in this, really. It's not necessary for people to have the same beliefs to experience spiritual communion with one another. Communion happens in spite of our mind, not because of it. Communion will only happen through the extension of love and non-judgment. As soon as we make space for God in our heart, God brings the stranger to our doorstep. And as soon as we make space for God or infinite mind or potential of life in our community, that will bring the disenfranchised into the sanctuary of this center. As spiritual centers within the New Thought movement, of which CSL West Hawaii belongs, it is evident the time has come to redefine ourselves. Now, once again, that can cover a lot of territory, but I'm going to focus on one aspect. We must become a place where love, not agreement, becomes the bond that holds our community together and calls to those who, like you, will feel like they have come home to themselves. For if we are here only to seek and find agreement, our individual freedoms are sacrificed, and the whole never benefits from the wisdom of its parts. And this kind of community system is bound to fail. And just as it takes courage to disagree and wisdom and foresight to maintain an environment of equality and equanimity in which all perspectives can be considered, it takes the time it takes. The path to living our truth, the path to living as a community of one, has never been based on expediency. So let's build lives of appreciating the differences between us while maintaining emotional connections in our lives. And let us know that in order to love and be loved in our lives, the cost will not be our freedom. If loving is based upon agreement, then it is not real love. Real love does not seek to bind, enslave, or control. It seeks to liberate, to empower, and to set others free to find their own truth. And most centers and churches do not have this concept as their agenda. Neither do most people. When we love, we see the innocence and pure potential rising above, transcending any conditions or indiscretions. And we are positioned to release our judgments and free others and ourselves in the process, to make music from the universal soul within a universal symphony, within a universal symphony. You know, a sound made by a string musical instrument has two dimensions. It has a tone and an undertone. A tone is a sound struck by pulling a chord with the finger. A tone is like a verbal sound, that has a clearly audible structure that can be interpreted by our ears. But the depth, density, and dimensionality of instrumental music comes not from the tone, but from the undertone, which is nothing but the receding vibration of sound as it merges into silence. The undertone is what we share in common because it's our spiritual DNA, our pure potential. So when we communicate with others, we are often very attending the perfect tone that plays in our own music, rather than hearing the undertones and the depths of being with the other, so that its resonance, its vibration can join ours at the level of spirit, right? So ultimately, listening is not merely about gathering information, but it's about transformation of this information into intelligence. And deep listening facilitates the flow of intelligence and communication by removing the physical, right? And the mental barriers that separate the speaker from the listener. So in listening, we are still and we are silent. And it is within silence that the community feels like communion with the sacred. So as we leave here today, I invite you to look into your own heart and know that each of us has the ability to build common unity right in our own backyards by loving as life loves, as God loves, seeing the intelligence and pure potential of others and ourselves. You know what, friends? We are already a community of one. And the value of spiritual community is present. So drink from it. And so it is. Mahalo. Malamapu.
We are a community of one. Thank you, Reverend Nadene, for your inspiring message. Be interesting in after chat to see what thoughts people bring forth from this sermon or talk. Please join us next week, next Sunday, as we welcome Reverend Jim Lockhart speaking on 3 keys in community transformation. And now it's time for our conscious giving, an opportunity to participate in the law of circulation. We know that we have to receive as well as give, so I invite you to let your divine inner wisdom choose the blessing of joy that calls to you, whether it's one on the screen or something from your higher self. Keep it with you all week long, and remember how much you are loved. Wonderful. And now we can complete the law of circulation by giving back. I invite you to invoke the feeling of gratitude through thoughts and infinite possibilities right where you are, allowing that to fill you and the space around you. Thank you for all the ways you support this center and the community, whether it be in the form of a donation, your time, or by sharing your positive light out into the world. So now, let us speak our prosperity affirmation together. This gift I give as God in action. I give it in love. I give it in joy. I give it in gratitude. I give it knowing that it has given again, and so I graciously give, and so it is. We offer easy ways to donate your offering. One, you can make a donation through our website, clswh.org, or by sending a check to the address on the slide, Box 814, Kamuela, Hawaii, 96743. We gratefully receive your gifts and tithes. Your support allows us to connect with each other to create a center where we can thrive and learn to contribute to a world that works for everyone. And last but not least, here are a variety of ways to connect and engage in community. We have Sacred Prayer Circle on September 11th from 6 to 7, Hawaiian Standard Time. All are welcome to a time of setting a new intention for their lives and being supported in activating the law of mind in action. This is a gentle, confidential space in which you to gain clarity and claim your good. Sharing the bounty of the fall fundraiser. It is an online silent auction which will be posted for bidding to begin on October 8th. If you have any item or service, gift, certificate, perhaps a magical timeshare spot or favorite restaurant experience you would like to give to others, please contact Reverend Nadene. Deadline for accepting items is September 15th, and we have some really wonderful things. Next is the self-mastery, the emergence of the true self, from October 19th to October 30th, from 6 to 8 p.m. Hawaiian Standard Time. This is a Science of Mind accredited course facilitated by Dr. Nadene Rogers and focuses on healing, revealing the perceived separation between personality and spirit to gain mastery in the art of conscious living, period. Investment is $150. At long last, we are beginning our in-person Sunday. Celebrations on October 8th at Waikoloa Village. Our first guest speaker will be our interim minister, senior minister, Reverend Dr. Nadene Rogers. Come for the music, stay for the message, and enjoy connection over poo-poos and refreshments. Tell your family and friends, let's make this a true celebration of all that has gone before. It is new today and it is waiting us together. In-person celebrations will run the second Sunday of the month for now. We will reassess in the new year. Links to all these events and to register can be found on our website calendar at www.cslwh.org, or feel free to email us at cslwh.board@gmail.com. On behalf of our entire community, thank you for being part of our spiritual family today, and we look forward to seeing you again. Please stay around for our after chat directly after our closing prayer and the peace song. It is now my pleasure to introduce once again Reverend Nadene to close our service with an affirmative prayer.
There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. Say that to yourself. There is only one life. That life is God's life. That life is perfect. And that life is my life now. So in knowing this, I know and I hold for this beautiful community and each of its members and the extended families of these members and the members in the area and on the planet, all of our brothers and sisters, this idea of the community of one. And I do so as I know that each one of us expands our ability to be compassionate, be kind, be loving, and be accepting, to live in this holy moment of now. So remember that. This is an offering and a gift to you. The fullness of life, just as you are, right where you are. This is where the height of your innocence and your pure potential meets the infinite creativity of the universe. I give thanks for knowing this, for knowing you, and knowing that life is a blessing. And so it is. Amen. Oh, well, 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 what a lovely time together. Thank you, everybody. And welcome. Happy to see all your faces. So what's